in 6 minutes starts now.
Very diplomatic, Kirk.
He'll talk to us for about 8 minutes. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. President Trump will address the nation at 9 p.m. Eastern amid a standoff with Democrats over funding a border wall.
Vice President Mike Pence will brief House Republicans this evening before a prime-time speech from President Trump about border security. Weekend negotiations to reopen the government did not make much progress. Pence says the administration is looking into the legality of a national emergency to begin border wall construction without congressional approval.
That's Fox's Jared Halpern. House Democrat Jerry Nadler hopes the president doesn't sidestep Congress.
We would certainly oppose any attempt by the president to make himself a king and a tyrant.
It's 18th day now of this partial government shutdown. Fox's Rachel Sutherland live in Washington.
Dave, hundreds of thousands of government workers are expected to miss their first paychecks this Friday. The Office of Personnel Management says they can file for unemployment, but in most states, the money would have to be paid back once funding is restored. Meanwhile, the IRS says Americans can expect their tax refunds this year if the partial shutdown continues through the opening of tax season on January 28th. The agency says it will recall a significant portion of its workforce without pay to process returns. Dave.
Rachel, on this day in 2011, then Congresswoman Gabby Giffords was shot in the head in an attack in Arizona. She survived, but 6 others were killed. 8 years later, Giffords will return to Capitol Hill to push a gun control bill.
The proposal would require federal background checks on all gun sales, including private transactions. Gun control groups estimate that roughly 20% or more of gun sales don't include background checks. Even if it passes the House, Senate Republicans will unlikely take action on the bill.
Fox's John Decker. They had some party last night in South Carolina. Clemson students celebrating another college football title after Clemson beat Alabama 44-16. This is Fox News.
Are you putting your retirement savings in a 401k, IRA, or investment account? Then I have one word of advice. Stop. Many experts warn of a stock market crash any day now. And if it's anything like the last 2 crashes, you could lose 50% or more of your hard-earned savings in the Wall Street casino. Can you afford to lose half of your retirement savings again? Hey, you don't have to lose a penny because there's a better, safer way to save for retirement. And you can learn all about it in a free report. This is the report Wall Street and big banks desperately hope you never see. Why? Because this method continues to grow your money even when the market tumbles. It lets you take back control of your money and finances, and it gives you penalty-free access to your savings. Plus, it beats the pants off any 401k or IRA. These are uncertain times, so get the information you need today to guarantee your retirement security. To get this free report, go to bankonyourself.com right now. That's bankonyourself.com. bankonyourself.com.
President Trump will address the nation tonight on his plans for a U.S.-Mexico wall and the status of the partial government shutdown now in its 17th day. A Trump administration official says taxpayers who are owed refunds will be paid on time. Despite the government shutdown, the IRS could recall a large number of employees without pay. The story of tragedy, frustration, and patience for a New Jersey family moves to a new chapter today, a little more than 3 years after 19-year-old Sarah Stern disappeared. Jury selection for the trial of her former classmate and alleged murderer begins. Her father says although he's optimistic about the outcome of the trial...
Honestly, I don't think I'll ever get closure. It's just, this is just, one thing that'll be settled and I'll be able to put it behind me.
Liam McAtasney is charged with murdering the Neptune City girl and dumping her body along with an accomplice. A young seal had to be rescued from a jetty in Wildwood, not because it was sick, but because people wouldn't leave it alone. People rushed to the jetty to gawk or take selfies. The Marine Mammal Stranding Center says if you see such seals, just leave them alone. I'm Eric Scott. This is the Town Square News Network.
We may catch an occasional rain shower across South Jersey today, and clouds will win the sky, although a break of sunshine is certainly possible, too. High temperatures around 50 degrees, our last mild day in quite some time. One more round of rain showers possible tonight. Lows dip into the upper 30s, and then tomorrow is the big cool-down day. Wind gusts to 40 miles an hour will be possible with a mix of sun and clouds. Highs in the mid-40s early in the day. Thursday's highs only in the mid-30s, again with sun and clouds and a stiff breeze. Highs on Friday only near 30. I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zarrow on WPG Talk Radio 104.1.
From Harry Hurley Way in the world's playground to the broadcast pioneers of Philadelphia Hall of Fame.
I want to congratulate my friend, Harry Hurley.
You're about to find out why Harry Hurley has been named to the Talkers Magazine list of the 100 most important talk show hosts in the nation. Live from the studios of Town Square Media in Northfield, it's Hurley in the Morning on WPG Talk Radio 104.1.
Hey, thanks very much. It's 5 minutes past the hour. Chuck Malamut is here, the exclusive financial advisor for the Hurley in the Morning program. We are in year 28 together. He has a number of years under his belt in financial services industry prior to our time together as a broadcasting team. Chuck is the managing director. He leads his team, the Malamut Group, at Morgan Stanley's Northfield, New Jersey office, and your official number to call for your financial planning needs in all aspects: retirement planning, college building, vacation planning, any aspect of your financial planning. Turn to Chuck. Call 609-383-2010, 609-383-2010. The following program segment is presented by Chuck Malamut, a financial advisor at Morgan Stanley. The information, views, and opinions expressed on this broadcast are those of Chuck. They do not necessarily reflect those of Morgan Stanley or its affiliates. They are current as of the date of this broadcast, subject to change without notice. Neither the information provided nor any opinion expressed herein constitutes a solicitation for the purchase or sale of any security. This presentation is for informational purposes only. Morgan Stanley Smith Barney, member SIPC. Chuck, I just want to do a sidebar real quick.
Good morning, Harry.
Good morning to you. Unrelated to the Malamut Financial Hour is the fact that you've been a generous contributor to the Hurley in the Morning charity from its very existence, and even before its existence when we would do ad hoc things for local schools and different things. So you've always been there for us. And Chuck very generously contributed to the Hurley in the Morning charity at the time of our April dinner last year at resorts where we're going back on April 12th. I better look at my notes real quick. April 12th rings a bell. Yep, April 12th, Friday, April 12th, 2019, we'll be in the iconic Ocean Ballroom at Resorts Casino Hotel. We're going to be sending out an email blast to everybody that attended last year. It was 260 people because you have right of first refusal, and we'll be announcing our guest of honor, our keynote speaker, within the next few weeks. But at that dinner, and we thank the Philadelphia 76ers because not only did they donate generous, really nicely located seats for a Sixers game, but they also donated an experience that really you couldn't get anywhere else. And that is literally that Chuck and his guest will be able to be on the court during practice. And that's pretty special, Chuck.
Yes, it is, Harry. Actually, Mike and I are going this evening. We are refraining from bringing our autograph books. We thought that probably would not be a very good idea.
But you're very generous, and you really deserve this, and I can't wait to hear about the experience when we talk next week on the program, because that's going to be pretty cool to be right there during warm-up on the court.
It should be exciting. There's no doubt about it. I mean,
and they're a good team.
They're a good team, and I think you don't realize how tall the players are until you're
incredible
standing next to them. So it's like, I'm sure we'll feel like dwarfs at the end of the day. But
the thing too, and you can appreciate this because I know you're a hockey fan too, and you've been a hockey manager and all that. But when you see a hockey game in person, oh my gosh, the sounds, the bodies hitting the boards. Anybody that's never been to an actual hockey game, it does not transfer to the TV set the way it does when you're there. I really believe the NBA experience, the speed of the players, the strength of the players, the height of the game, being there, and you're going to be in very good seats, being there at the game is much different than on TV.
Yeah, it's no longer a basketball game. We went a couple times last year with some clients. It's
an experience.
It's an event.
Yeah.
I mean, it's between the music and everything that goes on with the TV timeouts and halftime, and it's pretty. Yeah, I mean they keep you engaged, I guess is the best way to call it.
So I want to thank the Philadelphia 76ers. I want to thank Vice President Dave Schaller for the friendship, for the partnership, because this is something we're going to be asking for in the near future for the April dinner coming up in just a few months, because it really is just a wonderful item in our silent auction. And again, Chuck, we thank you for your incredible generosity for many, many years. Market update.
So it's interesting, Kirk. Nice to see you again. A happy New Year. Good hour, except to the very end. I was kind of disappointed. I was waiting in my car for you to tell me who you were going to endorse.
Wasn't that great when I put Kirk on the spot?
But
Wasn't that great?
it's not unusual, so we'll just, we'll wait till next week. And Harry, you'll pepper him every week, and finally you'll wear him down, and he'll come out. He'll be on the ground,
sweaty,
blood strewn all over the place. Okay, here's who I think I like now, but I'm not sure exactly. All good, but
Defer.
It's interesting. I mean, we were here. It's just so strange because we were here on Friday, yeah, and we were here right at 8.
We were here for Fabulous News when the Michael Torpy checked in with Chuck Malamut to share with us the 312,000 jobs were created, and your little brother, your Pocket Kreskin, said what a great day it was going to be for Wall Street, and it was.
Well, yeah, but I think, Harry, I did go back and forth. I'm going to disagree with you a little bit.
You're going to give Powell the credit, I know.
No, I'm not going to give him the credit. I think, the day before, Apple pre-announced and the market had a really tough Thursday, down 600 points. And it took down all sectors. Obviously, the biggest loser of the day was technology. Now, coming into Friday, the market was set for a pre-opening. It looked as if we were going to open higher. The jobs report came, and I think our biggest fear was the number was great, but remember, the actual percentage was higher because there's more people, going back to the workforce. So that's the old, numerator versus denominator, to come up with a percentage. Now, wage growth was a concern. It seems to be somewhat controlled, but I think when Powell at that panel at around 10 o'clock in the morning,
wage growth 3.1%.
He basically said we're going to be patient, and I sometimes when you just
remember that's all I wanted him to say, Chuck. I've been how many months have I've been saying this? That's all I wanted him to say. And he finally said it.
So the tone changed very quickly. And
would he have ever said it without President Trump?
I think he would have, because the markets obviously did not react well in the fourth quarter. And you think about October 1 or thereabouts. October 3rd, I think, was the exact date. And the Fed comes and they have the last increase, and the fact that I think when the question during the interview or the press conference was about the reduction of the balance sheet, and Kirk, I think Kirk said it very well in the last hour. It's sort of a double whammy. You're increasing rates and you're reducing your balance sheet, so that's basically taking cash out of the system. As the Fed it's just becoming more expensive to borrow, and it's prime rate, LIBOR. I mean, everything is sort of lockstep moving higher, and that's impacting large corporations, small businesses, and individuals. You have your home equity line tied to prime. All of a sudden, you're 25 basis points, 50 basis points higher, and that does take a little bit out of the economy. But the good news is, and we kind of talked about this last Friday, the price of the pump is relatively subdued to where we were a year ago. Yep. And so the question at hand is, the action that we've seen of late, are we entering into potentially a recession, or is that what the market said last, for the fourth quarter, or is this in fact, a sort of a pause, a pullback? One of those, if you watch those stations on TV, bear market returns, back to the bear market. Once you hit quote 20%, you're quote unquote in a bear market. Harry, I don't know, Kirk, what's the difference between 19.9 and 20.1
exactly.
is? I mean, there is no difference. I mean, in bear market, out of bear market. I mean, it's just, I think it's somewhat disingenuous because, we're sort of up against the computers.
Well, I also think the Fed has the power still, even with the algorithms and all these very valid things that you point out on your show. I think the Fed has the power right now to stave off any type of recession, and I think the Fed Chairman Powell did a very good thing when he said what he said, because they could tip. I think we were at a tipping point, and if the Fed had stayed with the blinders on and continued to raise rates, I think they would have slogged us right into a recession, which I don't believe now is the case.
So in the beginning of October, the Fed Fund futures indicated 4 rate hikes in 2019. That has since been reduced to 2. And there's been some economists and strategists actually saying 0.
Yeah.
And then as we get into 2020, an actual rate cut.
Good.
So when you think about you have
just
that
in time. Good.
You have that much you have a lot of disagreement out there because we're basically in uncharted water. So the question is, what happened in the fourth quarter is that a correction within a long-standing bull market, or is it the quote signaling recession? I think it's more a correction in a long-standing bull market, and it's just a matter of you have to be very conscious, and you think about the amount of volatility we've had in the markets. It's we think it's going to remain elevated, especially in the short term. We need to see some clarity around trade policy. I think it's starting to come. We're seeing there's meetings on a daily basis. There's obviously other issues out there, but we don't think conditions are in place to produce a recession. I mean, everywhere you go, people, employers are looking for employees.
Mm-hmm. Bob called in last hour, said Florida is booming. Kirk was just in South Carolina. South Carolina is booming. So there's a lot. It's not anecdotal. There's a lot of evidence.
Look, we manage part of our business is we manage 401k plans for our plan sponsors, and they're located not just here in South Jersey. They're located in Tennessee. They're located in New York. They're located in Pennsylvania. Located in Florida, and located in Nevada. And every employer, we hear the same thing. We are pressed because we don't have enough employees here. We don't have enough qualified employees.
Right.
It's a matter of putting somebody in a position that is, doesn't have the qualifications.
Which I think is also part of the wage growth. I mean, there was no wage growth. No one was getting raises. People actually were having their salaries cut, and people were losing jobs, and the people that were left were picking up, doing more than they used to do for no increases for year after year after year, and now we're in a 3.1% wage increase environment. We'll get our first break in, Chuck. If you're not done the market update, the time is yours when we come back. I cannot wait till we get into the economic data portion because manufacturing was left for dead just a couple of years ago with a very unambiguous, definitive declaration that manufacturing jobs are gone. 300,000 manufacturing jobs were created in 2018. They're obviously not gone. They're market-based. We'll be back with Chuck Malamut, the official financial advisor for the Hurley in the Morning program for all of your financial planning needs. Turn to Chuck, 609-383-2010, 609-383-2010. Respectfully yours, with Chuck Malamut, I am
Hurley in the Morning. WPG Talk Radio 104.1 and WPGTalkRadio.com.
Short Physicians Group, be well connected.
Shore Physicians Group, Be Well Connected. February is American Heart Month in continuation of its popular Be Well Connected series. Shore Physicians Group, in partnership with Penn Medicine and Shore Medical Center, are proud to present a free heart health breakfast seminar on Friday, February 8th. Dr. Gene Iucci from Penn Cardiology, Summers Point, will present on heart health, and Dr. Joshua Daniel, neurologist from Shore Physicians Group, will educate on how heart health relates to stroke. There will also be additional experts from Shore Medical Center who will offer tips and advice about how you can be heart healthy in the new year. This Be Well Connected event is open to the public and will be held on February 8th from 10 a.m. to noon at Great Bay Country Club in Summers Point. To RSVP, call 609-653-3435. Shore Physicians Group. For more information, visit shorephysiciansgroup.com. That's shorephysiciansgroup.com. Be Well Connected.
Short Physicians Group, be well connected.
This is Harry Hurley for All Season Solar, our official and exclusive solar energy provider to the Hurley in the Morning program. They design and they install the most attractive, efficient, state-of-the-art solar photovoltaic systems from the world's leading manufacturers. What I love about dealing with All Season Solar, they're your single point of contact. They do the system design, engineering, your building permits, installation, and the ultimate glorious utility connection day. They take care of everything under the sun so that you can sit back and reap the savings. Call Frank Neal today, 609-317-5491. That's Frank Neal, All Season Solar, 609-317-5491. There's never been a better time to go solar. The benefits are there. New Jersey leads the East Coast and second largest in the entire United States in terms of solar energy panel installation. No deposits, no hidden fees, no out-of-pocket costs. All Season Solar. Tell them Hurley in the Morning sent you.
Are you drowning in IRS tax debt?
I owe the IRS $37,000.
Get ready for a toll-free hotline. Take advantage of new IRS tax forgiveness programs that may protect you from IRS collection agencies. They have the power to garnish your wages, put liens on your property, and levy your bank account. Civic Tax Relief can help protect you from the IRS.
Civic Tax Relief basically represented me against the IRS, and by the time everything was completed, I didn't owe the IRS anything.
Find out about the Fresh Start program that is now available through Civic Tax Relief. Civic Tax Relief's special tax hotline can help you discover all the relief programs available for free.
I would recommend anyone who has a tax problem to contact Civic Tax Relief.
Just call 800-601-7991. 800-601-7991. Don't wait. Call now. 800-601-7991. 800-601-7991.
This is Absecons Talk Station, WPG Talk Radio 104.1 and WPGTalkRadio.com.
We're back. It's 21 minutes past the hour with Chuck Malamut. I am Harry Hurley in the morning. Chuck, are you done the market update or no?
I think we're good for now, Harry.
All right. Yeah. So manufacturing data, the manufacturing jobs, the CEO of the United States of America's executive branch said that manufacturing jobs are gone. They're gone because everything's different. It's not like it used to be, and there's no magic wand to bring them back. But there must be. So it's Hogwarts school.
Let me take you back to Thursday of last week. Again, remembering, close of business Wednesday, it was all about Apple. I think what got lost in the midst of it, but it did have an impact on the market, was the ISM Manufacturing Index for the month of December. It fell sharply from 57.9 to 54.1. That was the steepest drop that we've seen, Harry, in over a decade. And as a result of that, the first thing you do is, you shoot now and you ask questions later. So the market, took that news obviously in stride. But I think the one thing that everyone seems to forget here is that we still are in expansion territory, with respect to ISM manufacturing data. So that was the lead up to Thursday, in the market. Now, as I mentioned to you before, employment, and you guys covered it, last hour, came in on Friday, very, very strong labor market report showing a higher number of new jobs available and an increase in wages. Now, so all told last week, the economic data that, points to an economy that we think is in the latter stages of an expansion, but one that remains still somewhat moving upward in a positive direction. So, if you try to time this on a day-to-day basis, you will absolutely get whipsawed. There's no doubt about that.
I think this. Tell me if this is a fair statement. We've been talking about it for so many decades together now. No human can time the market. You cannot time the market, can you?
No.
I mean, you just can't. To me, it's not physically possible. And so it always, for me, my product knowledge is because of your tremendous expertise, is that time in the market is keynote, because I don't think it can be said enough how few days being out of the market can hurt you in so many ways.
Let me shift gears for 1 second, because I wanted to cover this a little bit later today.
Yeah.
And I found this, Harry, in while we were preparing for the show, and it goes back to the times before you and I and Kirk were born, since 1950. That's a long time ago. And The S&P has been up 54%. And there were 17,361 trading days over that time period. The S&P was up 54% of the time. So kind of mark that number for a second. The S&P was up, Harry, 60% of the time over 828 months. So now we go from looking daily to looking monthly. 66% of the time, there were 276 quarters also over that time period. So 66% of the time, on a quarterly basis, the market was up. And then 72% of the time, the market was up over 69 years. So think about it. Daily, monthly, quarterly, annually, anywhere from 54 to 72%. So if you think for a minute, and people say, well, geez, I'm happy, 54% works for me. Well, why would you be happy or satisfied with 54% if you stayed longer term and stayed focused and try to separate yourself from all the noise? You're obviously going to be better off.
Chuck, is the return of manufacturing jobs a robust return that it's now empirical evidence that it is so, a direct byproduct of 21% corporate tax rate, fair taxation in general, and pro-capitalistic philosophy of governance? This cannot be an accident, Chuck.
Harry, I think it's all the above.
Yeah.
I mean, you take a look at where we were with the economy prior to the tax cuts. The economy was pretty much cooking, and now what the concern was is the economy going to overheat. Well, I don't think that's going to be the case at all. I think everything is in place here. To continue, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, and I think it's a matter of being well positioned. And having the right sectors within your equity allocation to be able to take advantage of it. I mean, oftentimes you hear how money moves from growth to value and value to growth. I mean, I think you will absolutely get whipsawed if you try to figure that out.
Chuck, Kirk and I, we were looking at inflation because obviously that's something you want to guard against, and we just looked at the numbers. And inflation is 2.22%, which means there's no need for a rate increase.
Yeah, I mean, the Fed's obviously focused on inflation, and at that number, I sense that the Fed is going to be very, very hard pressed. I mean, to increase rates. I think what would happen is if wage growth was up significantly, that would cause some concern. But where they are now, with roughly in that 3% range, I don't think the Fed really has a reason to move at this point in time. But you and I don't read the same tea leaves that they read, and they get the data points, and something could set them in either the right or the wrong direction depending upon which side of the street you're on. But bottom line, end of day, we're pretty comfortable with maybe 2 rate hikes this year at the most, not 4, and some camps are calling out actually for 0 at this point in time.
We're going to take a brief time out. We're going to be right back. Halftime break is here. We have the Harbor Pines Golf Club, the exclusive golf club for the Hurley in the Morning program and for the Hurley in the Morning charity. And our Friday, June 21st, 2019, 12th annual Hurley in the Morning Golf Open will be taking place at the wonderful Harbor Pines Golf Club and Estates in Egg Harbor Township. Our players love the course, and we've had now 3 consecutive wonderful, this will make 4, tournaments at the Harbor Pines Golf Club. Some wonderful things happening in the new year. The Friday happy hours begin this Friday, January 11th, with an all-new lineup of entertainment. Very, very exciting. Elvis is in the building. There's a night of rock and roll roots, music, and Elvis entertainer on February 2nd. And always popular, the Valentine's Day dinner, February 14th at Harbor Pines Golf Club. 609-927-0006. If you want to reach Deb Stevenson, Director of Sales, tell her I sent you Hurley in the Morning. She's extension 13. So that's 609-927-0006. and their World Wide Web presence very, very strong at harborpines.com. Now, you know that Brian Kilmeade immediately follows Hurley in the Morning, and Markley and Van Camp immediately follow Brian Kilmeade. I think I didn't hear it, but I heard about it. They were talking about the Eagles, and not the music group. They were talking about our beloved Philadelphia Eagles.
Markley and Van Camp.
This is a Philadelphia play-by-play team, right?
Yes.
In Espanol.
Yes, with the last call of the missed field goal.
¡No, falló! ¡No, señor! ¡No, señor! ¡No, señor! ¡No, señor!
No, senor! No, senor! And now the only thing that's going through my head is, and who's going to pay for the wall? No, senor!
No, senor!
Markley and Van Camp. Weekday afternoons at 1 on WPG Talk Radio 104.1.
Paul D'Amato.
Harry Hurley.
Paul, I know our listeners want to know what's new with the D'Amato Law Firm.
Things are great, Harry. We are so privileged to represent our clients whose lives have been turned upside down because they were involved in a serious accident. We meet on a regular basis. We copy our clients on all our correspondence so they always know what's going on with their case. We try to treat them like family. We have Alexa here, my daughter. I'm so happy that she's here. We have Steve Van Natten and Casey Gifford. We're a great legal team.
They're the D'Amato Law Firm for all of your personal injury legal needs. Turn to the official lead counsel to the Hurley in the Morning program for more than a quarter of a century. The D'Amato Law Firm in Egg Harbor Township, 609-926-3300. That's 609-926-3300. Tell Paul, Alexa, Sandy, the entire team that Hurley in the Morning sent you.
Looking for ways to save with your Medicare plan? Walgreens is a preferred network pharmacy with many plans nationwide, which could mean lower copays for you. So bring your prescriptions to a Walgreens pharmacy today to start saving. Walgreens, trusted since 1901. Walgreens participates as a preferred network pharmacy with United Healthcare, Cigna HealthSpring, and Express Scripts Medicare. For a complete list of available plans, please contact 1-800-MEDICARE. TTY users should call 1-877-486-2048. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, or consult www.medicare.gov. Other pharmacies are available in our network.
You started a DIY project at home. Then you realize convenience isn't always easy. The why in DIY doesn't mean, why is this so hard? At ADT, we DIFY, do it for you. We customize and install a secure smart home that you control from the palm of your hand or the sound of your voice. Smart security, designed and installed just for you with ADT. Visit ADT.com/smart to learn more. License information available at ADT.com. ADT. Real protection.
Hi, it's Brian Kilmeade. Join me next at 10, then Sean Hannity at 3. Now back to Harry Hurley on WPG Talk Radio 104.1, South Jersey's talk station.
Hey, thanks very much. We're visiting, of course, with Chuck Malamut, the 8 o'clock hour here on the Hurley in the Morning program on Tuesday, now for the 28th consecutive year, held by Chuck Malamut. All about your financial matters. I was just giddy. I was ecstatic about it, so I couldn't help but preempt agenda item number 3 at the beginning of Chuck's program. December employment. We did cover it, Chuck, but it shocked the world, didn't it?
We covered it, Harry. Yeah, I think the world did not expect the number. And the only concern is that, remember, and I think we talked about this already last time, is that the numbers always adjust. They announce, and then the next month they come back and they adjust. So I'm curious to see what the adjustment for December is.
Although
of late they've been higher.
Yes.
So
including 2 months prior to December.
Not to sound pessimistic, but I find it hard to believe. I could be wrong, but can you imagine a 400,000 job print? That would be unbelievable. But I think one of the things we want to talk about was, where do we go in 2019? I mean, everybody obviously is concerned about the equity markets. I mean, the fourth quarter 2018 was obviously an awful one. No one made money in 18 with the exception if you had cash. So as it works out, we think that 2019 obviously is going to be, all about corporate earnings. As recently as this past September, the consensus expectation was that we would see earnings growth around 13% growth per year. That has now been decreased to roughly 8%. We think that number still might be a little bit high. Maybe the growth level is probably around 5 or 6 by the end of the year. But, that would represent a pretty significant reduction from last year's, just off the chart number, but still should be good enough to help equity prices have gains this year in 2019. So. You always ask, and we got it wrong last year. I'll be the first to admit. I think everybody was wrong last year, and I'm gonna stick with what high single digit, low double digit, anywhere. I'm gonna go 8 to 10, 8 to 12. Somewhere's I hope I'm wrong. I'm hoping 15, 18, 20 because I'm hearing that a lot of strategists are calling for a very, very good year after the year that we had in 2018.
I always, like you, I'm an optimist, so I always see the glass half full. My tank of gas in the car is not half empty. It's always half full. My glass is always half full. But you believe there's room for optimism and pessimism, right?
Yeah, there is. Look at Harry, that makes a trade. No doubt about it. You either have, for every buyer you have to have a seller. And obviously, all the buyers, when markets go in the wrong direction, all the buyers, quickly leave, and all you do is you have, just everybody that wants to sell. And conversely, on the flip side, so that's what makes a market. You have to have a buyer, to match a seller. So the reasons, there's a number of reasons to be optimistic, and on the same side of the coin, I think I would, be very short-sighted if we didn't include the reasons why we need to be concerned here a little bit. So. Think about this for a second. The economy, it looks like it's slowing, but it doesn't appear that we're headed for a recession. Earnings growth is slowing as well, but should remain positive for 2019. Think about where equity valuations are today. The PE ratios, they've come down significantly with the market selling off. They are a lot more attractive now, Harry, than they were a year ago. Mm-hmm. We talked about the Fed. They're backing off that tightening campaign, and they seem to be a little more dovish at this point in time. And the decline that we saw in the fourth quarter, particularly we saw it in October and we saw it in December. It's not based on deteriorating fundamentals, Harry. It's based more on limited liquidity. You think about, if there's a buyer strike, and that's what we saw. It's going to obviously have a negative impact on stock prices. The corporate sector remains relatively healthy. Buybacks, dividends increases, they are looking stronger than ever. And you think about, I won't use a particular case or particular company, but remember a couple of weeks ago, Johnson & Johnson, took it in the neck. And as a result of that, they, initiated a buyback. And more importantly is that their key executives came in, both fists loaded and with cash, so to speak, and they bought the stock. Now, there are some reasons we need to, we need to be a little pessimistic here. We're going to kind of think about this for a second. Global growth outside the U.S. is slowing, and it's somewhat still unbalanced. We have
China's also having a tough time right now, right?
China's having a very, very difficult time.
That's why I think we're going to get a trade deal.
Yeah, China, last year was probably the worst performing equity market, worldwide. Earnings backdrop looks to be a little uncertain. So that's another reason to be a little concerned about the markets. I should put this to the top of the list. Political and economic uncertainty, could put a little on valuations. I mean, every day you can't get out of the way of what's happening in Washington.
I know there was a standalone agenda item about after the fall, the recovery from the fourth quarter. In a sense, did we already?
Well, we're not there quite yet.
We're going to get there.
We'll hold that in a second.
Right. We sort of talked about it. Go ahead.
Trade issues. A big, obviously a huge wild card. I mean, you're seeing like today, for instance, pre-market Dow's up about 200, and I think there's no news other than Sears. I don't know if you saw it come across. They will be. It sounds like the bid was rejected. And they're going to be liquidating. Sad thing is 400 some stores, and I don't know how many employees this is going to impact.
Tens of thousands. That's been around since the 1800s.
It's crazy.
Now, so $4.4 billion was not enough to stop it.
No. And then the last thing that we need to be a little concerned about here is that the deficit, and we talked about this just last week, just continues to be skyrocketing. Debt ceiling battles could become an issue in 2019. Nothing that we talked about, positive or negative, was all about the government shutdown, the current government shutdown.
At this point in time, unless you're one of the 800,000 people that's not getting a paycheck, not that many people care about this shutdown because, number one, it's only a partial government shutdown. Number two, any of the vital services within Homeland Security are required to continue, so folks are working. So the citizens are getting the service. Parks are open. All the punitive things that government could do to stick it to the people. And by the way, including that the IRS has confirmed that even if this were to continue into the tax season, for the early filers, they'd love by February 1st to have that W-2 and to get to their tax preparer or their own computer program to do it. The IRS has now confirmed that refund checks will go out. So there's nothing, the people are not being denied anything. So it's really hard for a shutdown that really doesn't affect, other than out of 320 million Americans, 800,000 people and their families. Certainly, if you can't pay your mortgage, it's what did Ronald Reagan say? A recession is when your next door neighbor is out of work. A depression is when you're out of work.
Correct.
So this shutdown really isn't causing the angst that shutdowns usually do, and it's because it's a very narrow. 3/4 of government is open, and of the quarter that's allegedly shut down, all essential TSA, air traffic controllers, parks. No, not parks, but the parks are being manned by volunteers. But you get my point, Chuck.
I don't know if I'd want to be quantified as a non-essential government employee.
I know. It's an oxymoron. That's a tough title.
But so let's move on here, because you were asking about after the fall, like what happens.
Does the first quarter 2019 take on? I always think the first quarter is really important because it gets your year going.
Well, the first quarter sets the tone,
yes,
but
now
remember,
it's after a bad quarter.
But remember, the first quarter of last year, we just had an awful February. The market did correct, by 10%.
Then it came back strong.
It came back. We had a good second, a good third quarter, and then obviously, we've sort of, talked it to death. What happened in the fourth quarter, but so the all-time closing high of the S&P was 2,931, and we actually put that on the books September 20th of this past year. From that point in time, the S&P dropped 19.8%, and the low that we put in was Christmas Eve day, 2,351. Remember, it's just an awful day to walk out of the office, and it's the night before Christmas. But we were off almost 20%.
Yep.
From top to bottom. And that would qualify, quote unquote, the 11th bear market that we've seen since World War II. For the prior 10 bear markets, and I don't, Harry, this is so, well, you look at it and say, well, geez, are we in a bear market or not in a bear market? So if this qualifies as a bear market, the S&P takes on average about 24 months to retrace its steps and close above the index's previous closing high that was achieved, before that 20% plus decline. So we're talking, we're talking 2 years to get back to that 29.31.
But how comfortable is anybody that we hit the bottom?
I think most people that we talk with, and most professionals, are pretty comfortable that double bottom was put in place before Christmas.
If we hit the bottom, this would be a very mild correction.
Well, so here's the question, and it goes back to what we talked about at the beginning of our discussion today. Are we truly in a bear market, or was this a correction, within a long-standing bull market? We are of the belief it's the latter, not the former. Because, you think about it, if you're sort of on the edge, like one day you're down 20%, you're, top to bottom. Next day it's 19.8. Like, I hate to say it, but you're splitting hairs. So, it's just, I think we're going to know, Harry, I think probably within the next 60 to 90 days, that answer. Are we, did we correct? Did we wait? Did we take out the excesses? Were price earning ratios, are more where they need to be now versus where they were, say, 6-9 months ago? Or are we in a bear market?
Year 3, officially, President Trump begins in 12 days, but we're essentially in year 3 because the markets actually started moving very favorably in November of 2016, even before the new president took office. So we're in the third year of the president. What do the markets have to say?
So if we go back and we sort of time test this, and so 2019 will be Donald Trump's third year of his first 4-year term. The S&P 500 has been positive on a total return basis. That obviously includes dividends. During 21 of the last 23 presidential third years, as it's referred to.
Wow.
And that goes all the way back to 1927, including the last 19 in a row. So are we going to break that streak where, can we make it 20 in a row where year 3 of a president's 4-year term?
Chuck, I know the answer to this. Why do you think, as a finance guy, that almost has a 100% track record? Now, it's true there's a couple of anomalies in there, but 21 out of 23. Why do you think that is?
I'm not going to answer that, Harry.
Can I?
That's why I'm going to let you answer.
Thank you. Because you set the plate in the third year. If things go bad in the third year, you lose in the fourth year. The third year is the difference between being reelected and being thrown out of the White House. And the only thing worse than never being a president is being a one-term president. Nobody wants to be a one-term president. George H.W. Bush hated it. Jimmy Carter hated it. Nobody likes it. And that's why the third year of a president, they pull out all the stops, every advantage of incumbency, everything. And that's why the third year is typically good.
Yeah, so Harry, if you go back and sort of
any problem with that statement?
No, you're absolutely. That's why I saved it for you, because I knew you would do a much better job, and answering your own question. The one thing to recognize is in this third year phenomena, the performance of the S&P 500 on average has a gain of about 16.1%. So, and it always goes back to now, are we in a bear market, or did we just go through a correction in a long-standing bull market? If the market is able to achieve that 16% rate of return,
then the latter will be true.
During the third year, then the latter will be true. And I've seen some strategists, actually I saw one the other day, anticipated S&P 500 at 3,050. And you say, my goodness, that's quite a stretch from where we are here. But if everything is in place, there's and it's you see money flow in and out, and there is, and you and I think Kirk and you spoke about this last hour. Bond yields are now making fixed income more of a competitive force. Mm-hmm. So an investor is sort of faced with, well, can I clip a 4 to 5%, 4.5% coupon? Go out, 8, 10, 12 years buying an intermediate term investment grade, lower investment grade corporate piece of paper, or do I put money into an equity, where I get I obviously look to get a dividend and get some capital appreciation on top of that.
Chuck, in terms of China, who we talked about having a rough go of it right now, China's purchases of U.S. Treasuries, what can you report?
So I think I'm not going to say anything here that I don't think your listeners know already. I mean, the fact of the matter is that they are the largest holder of our treasuries. So we sort of have to play to them to a certain degree. However, over the last 5 consecutive months, China has in fact reduced their ownership. And that's so
that's in retaliation for the trade stuff.
I mean, you think about it. So, from June through the end of November, there were 5 consecutive months where they reduced what the amount of debt that they were holding of ours. As of the most recent reading, Harry, China owned $1.14 trillion of our U.S. Treasuries.
Wow.
So that's.
I don't want to say they're our landlord, but that's a big number.
That's a huge number. Yeah. So that's something that we that we need to obviously think about as these negotiations continue to move, and hopefully they move in a positive direction, not in a negative direction. Obviously, and that's what you're seeing now in the equity markets.
The saving grace here also is if they put too much pressure, they hurt themselves, though.
Absolutely,
so
because it's
sort of a check.
Yeah. So today's January 8th. Mm-hmm. Have you heard anything about fourth quarter corporate earnings?
No.
Okay. Don't you find that a little suspicious?
Yes.
I mean, by now, because we're gonna see early next week.
Does this mean people are hiding bad news for as long as they can?
No, I don't think so.
I
think because you see, companies.
But I mean, retail has a beautiful fourth quarter story to tell.
Companies cannot. Well, we know the Apple story. We haven't heard any real, and they came early with a pre-announcement. They came like day one
to do a preemptive strike,
right? So you haven't heard anything else. But I just find it pretty remarkable that you see companies can't come out and say we think here's where we're going to be. They can't. They're in a quiet period until they announce their earnings. So,
but they know where they are.
Well, they know where they are. But I find it interesting that. I have not seen any stories. I haven't seen a headline. I haven't seen a quote on like the first company to report fourth quarter earnings.
What's the usual protocol? Because every year for all these years we've been together, you're always able to say these companies will be reporting first quarter, second quarter, third quarter.
Because it's taken a back seat.
Yeah. Okay. So I got it.
I mean, the media is so laser focused on everything but corporate earnings.
Government shutdown, immigration. Is there a geopolitical risk associated with this whole immigration stuff that's going on?
I think there is. I mean, I can remember, Harry, not too long ago with all the angst and all the problems that we were having pretty much in Europe. And we always talk about geopolitical risks, and the market virtually did not pay attention to it. And you said it on more than one occasion. I find it remarkable that, with all the pain and suffering and deaths that had occurred, like at the soccer stadium, and the events go on and on and on, but the market really didn't pay much attention to it. Now all of a sudden, the market's paying a lot of attention to the day-to-day angst that we are.
It's true. I mean, for so long now, I've remarked to you on your show that can anything rattle these markets, because geopolitical things of years gone by, worse things were happening and nothing. It just could not break through. But I agree. Now it's sort of hypersensitive to geopolitical stuff.
It is, and it's I think that what investors need to be careful, where you're getting your news from, it is in fact accurate.
Final minute.
So, Harry, we wanted to talk about 2018, the results of 2018. We wanted to talk about the predictions that we have for 2019. I think it would be terribly unfair for me to just try to gloss over it and spend a minute.
So we'll come back
talking about that. So I think I want to probably add that to our two agenda items next week, and we'll probably put that at the top of the list so we don't run out of time. But the fact of the matter is, we've seen some really good action in the markets over the last couple of days, and no 2-3 days make a market. But I think what is happening, the volatility is starting to subside a little bit, and I think some of the pessimism is now turning into optimism. And as a result of that, if that is in fact the case, and corporate earnings are expected or better through fourth quarter 2018, I think we're going to set ourselves in a really good spot as we begin 2019.
Good stuff. Chuck Malamut, for all of your financial matters, turn to Chuck, 609-383-2010, 609-383-2010. Great appearance as always, Chuck. Until
Harry, thanks for having me. See you next week.
Go Eagles.
You got it.
Go Eagles. Can't wait. We'll be back. Don't go away.
Hurley in the morning. WPG Talk Radio 104.1.
Health Update with Robin Stoloff. Brought to you by the law offices of Richard A. Stoloff, Linwood, and Philadelphia.
Quitting smoking tops many New Year's resolution lists, and it is one of the biggest steps you could ever take to improve your health. Quitting isn't easy, but 50 million ex-smokers in the United States are proof that it's achievable. Here's a few tips from the American Lung Association. First, remember it's never too late to quit. Quitting smoking at any age will enhance the length and quality of your life. Second, you don't have to quit alone. The first 7 to 10 days of a quit attempt are the toughest, and enlisting the support of family and friends can help. And talk with your doctor about FDA-approved medications for quitting. And finally, join a proven program that can offer support and information. The American Lung Association's Freedom from Smoking can be accessed at lung.org and is ranked as one of the most effective methods of quitting. I'm Robin Stoloff for Health Update.
Health Update with Robin Stoloff. Brought to you by the law offices of Richard A. Stoloff in Linwood. Attention you expect, results you deserve. When you listen to WPG Talk Radio 104.1, you're tuning into living a healthier lifestyle. Virtua Health and Town Square Media are united on one mission for a healthier New Jersey. When you listen to WPG or join the 1450 Club at WPGTalkRadio.com, you're connected to exclusive health and wellness information, and you can sign up to win great prizes.
Early stage lung cancer doesn't always show symptoms. A lung cancer screening is the only way to detect tumors or nodules at a treatable stage. Hi, I'm Dr. Matthew Poots, a board-certified, fellowship-trained thoracic surgeon at Virtua. Our lung screening can detect cancer during earlier stages, improving survival rates according to the National Lung Screening Trial. For more information, call 856-247-7393 or visit virtua.org/lung screening.
Together, Virtua and WPG have set out on a mission to make good health even more rewarding. Be well, get well, stay well. Virtua for life.
It's wild to see a black bear in New Jersey from a distance, but nothing brings a bear into your yard faster than a chance to raid a garbage can or bird feeder. Get caught feeding bears and you can face a $1,000 fine. Avoid tempting bears with food, garbage, or bird feeders. That's the best way to discourage them from becoming a nuisance near your home. For more information, visit njfishandwildlife.com. Remember, if you care about New Jersey's bears, don't feed them.
This public safety message is brought to you by the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection, the New Jersey Broadcasters Association, and this station.
How do you describe fun? Is it relaxing by the beach year-round at Landshark Bar and Grill? Is it a hot streak followed by frozen drinks at Jimmy Buffett's Margaritaville? Is it award-winning gourmet dining and live music and over 800 new slots and all the above? Find your fun at Resorts Casino Hotel, a Mohegan Sun property in Atlantic City. And with over $100 million in new renovations, there's more fun than ever. Get started at resortsac.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Are you drowning in IRS tax debt?
I owe the IRS $37,000.
Get ready for a toll-free hotline. Take advantage of new IRS tax forgiveness programs that may protect you from IRS collection agencies. They have the power to garnish your wages, put liens on your property, and levy your bank account. Civic Tax Relief can help protect you from the IRS.
Civic Tax Relief basically represented me against the IRS, and by the time everything was completed, I didn't owe the IRS anything.
Find out about the Fresh Start program that is now available through Civic Tax Relief. Civic Tax Relief's special tax hotline can help you discover all the relief programs available for free.
I would recommend anyone who has a tax problem to contact Civic Tax Relief.
Just call 800-601-7991. 800-601-7991. Don't wait. Call now. 800-601-7991. 800-601-7991.
Get free, unlimited South Jersey news at WPGTalkRadio.com. This is Hurley in the Morning on WPG Talk Radio 104.1 FM and 1450 AM, South Jersey's talk station.
It is 1 minute before the top of the hour. It's 45 degrees. The light rain is going to subside pretty much momentarily. There might be a little bit of rain, but it's ever so slight. In the 10 o'clock hour, it was like a 30% chance. That's almost barely not make. It wouldn't almost not make the forecast. It's more likely that it won't. But there's about a 50% chance of showers early in the evening. Overnight low is going to be 39, and the winds are going to pick up. It's going to be 15 to 25 miles an hour tonight, and then tomorrow even windier. High will be 44 tomorrow. Cloudy, winds west-northwest at 20 to 30 miles an hour with gusts over 40 miles an hour. So today's going to be the last day over 50 degrees for a while. Although still, I looked for the next 2 weeks out, and I'll take it. That's going to get us to about the third week of January, and so far, so good. Although there was supposed to be some snow Saturday night. Now there is snow in the forecast for Sunday. It was in the forecast Saturday night and then into Sunday. Now it looks like it'll wait until Sunday.
WPGG Atlantic City, WENJ 97.3 HD3 Millville. Everything you need to know in 6 minutes starts now.
We're expecting Dr. Bob Zlotnick to make a house call.
What will he tell us about the wall? I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. President Trump will go live in prime time addressing us at 9 p.m. Eastern. Still in a standoff with Democrats over funding. Fox's Rachel Sutherland live in Washington.
Dave, the president will make his case for a border wall to the American public as his administration considers declaring a national emergency in an effort to build the project without the approval of Congress.
His actions are dictatorial, and they're not